Hey, beautiful souls, and welcome to Around the Kitchen Table, a space for honest conversations, stories from the heart, and gentle reminders that we're all walking each other home. I'm Laura Island, mother, creative, soul led CEO of Sacred Sister CIC, and the woman behind Wise Sacred Woman. I'm a witch with ADHD. And this podcast is where we gather to share the real, raw, and radiant parts of life. Each week, we'll explore what it means to live in rhythm with ourselves, with nature, and with one another. We'll talk about womanhood, sisterhood, creativity, leadership, spirituality, and the messy magic of being a human. So pour yourself a cuppa, get comfy, and let's meet here around the kitchen table, where stories are medicine and every voice belongs. Hello, beautiful women. Welcome back to Around the Kitchen Table. Pop the kettle on, grab a cuppa, get comfortable, and let's have a chat. Come closer. I'm still in my pajamas. It's Friday morning. It's 7:13, Friday the 12th of June. I have just done day 12 of Soul Bloom, which is the evolution activation that they're in right now, running up to the solstice. We have kind of a week to go, I guess, until we really hit that solstice energy. And so this week I've had a bit of a realization. There's been lots of popping off moments this week. We had some big planetary alignments, a real connection with what is it that we're calling in? What is our truth? And my truth at the moment is that my husband and I have been going through some tough times. We've opened the cafe, which has been amazing, but sometimes you put all your energy into the outside world and you kind of forget who you are in the middle of it all. And this isn't the first time in 7 years of our relationship where we've chosen to have separate rooms and separate spaces. Fortunately, we've always lived in big houses that have allowed us to do that. And so we're in this kind of separate together time where our relationship feels almost too intense. We're both in the midst of middle age. We're 50. I'm just about to be 51 next month. And I think that brings with it so many aspects of like, what now? I had the most beautiful call yesterday with the elders from our elders village in the gathering. And it was really interesting listening to them all talk about being the mum of adult children. And I was like, oh, I think I've reached that crossover point now. My daughter's 15, but my son is 21 and he's an adult to all intents purposes, you know. He has his home and his life and his space and he's doing his thing and he's a grown up. So it really made me feel about transitions of life and what midlife really means for us as women. And if you've been hanging around Sacred Sister for any length of time, you'll know that I speak a lot about connection to self, connection to sisterhood, and connection to nature. It's woven through everything that we do, the circles and the gatherings and the training, the community. And for years, I've said that connection is the medicine. But this week, I woke up and I realized something deeper. Connection isn't actually the medicine. Disconnection is the wound. And how we come back together is around connection. But when I really felt the land in my body, it changed everything. When I felt that fully land, like I know disconnection is the wound. This is why I created Sacred Sister. But I get torn and I get pulled off course. And I'm often asked, like, until you niche Sacred Sister down, like until you get really clear about what it is. It's like, but it's everything. Because it's everything that comes and happens when we're in connection. But this is the thing. If connection is the answer, then this week I really had to sit with how did we become disconnected in the first place? Because none of us arrive here disconnected. You know, no little girl is born hating herself. No little girl is born doubting her worth. No little girl is born people pleasing and shape shifting and performing and overgiving and abandoning her own needs. Those things happen. They're learned, they're adaptations, they're survival strategies. And perhaps what we call self-abandonment is simply the result of years and years of disconnecting from ourselves. I often think about children. You know, watch children long enough and you'll see something fascinating. They know exactly who they are. They dance when music comes on. They sing loudly. They ask questions. I mean, if anyone's been anywhere with a toddler, you'll know they ask questions all the time. They cry when they're sad. They laugh when they're happy. They say what they think. They don't care if they look ridiculous. They don't care if somebody thinks they're too much. They're fully themselves until life begins teaching them otherwise. And I wonder how many of us can remember moments where we slowly started disconnecting from ourselves. Maybe we were told we were too loud, too emotional, too sensitive, too dramatic, too bossy, too much, too silly. Maybe we learned that being good was safer than being real. Maybe we learned that love was something we earned. And maybe we learned that belonging means fitting in. And I think this is why so many adults struggle with play. I see it all the time at retreats and at gatherings and in circles. You invite women to dance, to laugh, to be spontaneous, to be creative. And initially, there's often hesitation, almost embarrassment, a self-consciousness, a fear of looking silly. And I feel it too. And I always find myself wondering, who told you that joy needed permission? Who told you that you had to be serious to be respected? Who told you that growing up meant shutting down the playful parts of yourself? Because somewhere along the way, many of us learned that being accepted was more important than being free. Maybe someone laughed at us. Maybe we were told to stop showing off. Oh, I remember that one. Stop showing off now. Stop being silly. Act your age. Behave properly. Be ladylike. Be sensible. Be responsible. And little by little, we stopped expressing parts of ourselves. Not because they disappeared, but because they no longer felt safe. So I've been working on where I think these 6 faces of self-abandonment begin to emerge, not because we're broken, but because we've become disconnected. So I'm going to share with you what I feel these 6 faces of abandonment are today. And I'm sure I'm going to create a little freebie quiz around this at some point, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole yet because I've got a gathering to organize. So the first one is the good girl. The good girl says, I keep everyone else happy. She learned that being liked was important, that conflict was uncomfortable, that saying yes was easier than saying no. She becomes the peacekeeper, the people pleaser, the one who worries about everyone else's feelings. And over time, she becomes exhausted because she's carrying the responsibility that was never hers to carry. The truth is, the good girl often knows exactly what she wants. She's actually just terrified of disappointing people. That is my story. I could probably share a personal story about all of these. You know, the times when I've really known what I've wanted, but I've swallowed my truth. I can feel it now. Like I just shared this morning. Oh, as I'm sharing this, I can feel the ick of like, shall I? Shall I share this? Um, so we have our gathering coming up, homecoming in July. If you haven't seen it, go find it. It's in the show notes. The homecoming is different. It's not a festival. And it makes it really hard to promote because if I said to you, here are all the women that are coming to show up, here are all the women that are going to perform something, here are all the women who are going to be the performers, all the workshop leaders, all the hosts of this, or they're going to teach you something, or there's going to be, whatever it is, you would, I know, many of you would just jump and buy a ticket. You wouldn't even think about it. You'd know what you were getting. It's a consumerism kind of setting. It's kind of normal. This is what I'm getting. Here are all the names of these amazing women that I don't even probably know the name of half of them, but there's all these people that are going to perform for me. So therefore, it must be good. I'm going to pay for the ticket. You come across ours and it says, hey, come and be with us on a field. Come and hold yourself in the presence of amazing land fed by spring, powered by solar, fed amazing, nourishing food all weekend that you don't have to cook or prepare or think about. Where you get to be with these amazing wisdom keepers who have had a life and have stories. They don't have a big following because they're not out there on social media. They are doing their life their way. We have a wisdom keepers group and it has such amazing women in it. And yet you won't book the ticket for that because that feels like, oh, I don't quite know what's going to happen. I don't know what I'm buying into. And so the good girl in me wants to just go, oh, don't say anything. Don't really tell them that. Because actually you're not going to like me for saying that. And so I just continue on and wonder why and feel like it's okay and, you know that it's all right and feel a bit shit if you don't come, feel the rejection. Because it's a personal invitation from my field to you to come and be with us. And so I worry about, oh, what if someone else sees this from that other festival and they kind of start to think that I might be putting them down in some way. We have a space at that festival, just so you know, we run their welfare. So it's not that I'm not involved. It's just witnessing the difference and what that brings in me. And me as the good girl just wants to keep swallowing it down. But my truth is, we're not here to perform. We're here to co-create some magic together. And that's where my power lies and where my heart sings. So that's the good girl, the fixer. The fixer says, I carry everyone else's pain. You'll often hear people talk about being an empath. Just check in whether you're an empath and you feel it or you're a fixer and you want to fix it for everybody. So you end up carrying everyone else's pain. This woman is often the healer, the listener, the therapist, the coach, the mother, the friend that everyone calls. And while comparison is beautiful, somewhere along the way, she began believing that everybody else's well-being was her responsibility. She holds everybody together. She rescues, supports, advises, carries, until eventually she's carrying so much that she can barely stand herself. I kind of know this one intimately as well. Many women in helping professions do. Many women in leadership do. Many mothers do. And often the hardest lesson is realizing that love doesn't require us to save people. Then there's the shapeshifter. And the shapeshifter says, I've become whoever everyone needed. This woman learned how to fit in, different around different people, different at work, different in relationships, different online, different in social situations. And she's often brilliant at reading the room. But eventually she realizes she's become so many versions of herself, she can no longer hear her own voice. And I think this is particularly relevant right now because we live in a world obsessed with branding ourselves, creating an image. I'm sitting here in my pajamas still, with my hair all over the place, speaking to you, no makeup on, looking a bit like a wreck. I'm not branding anything right now. But that's what we believe. We have to create this image, fitting a narrative, looking a certain way, acting a certain way, being successful in a certain way. Success for me means how many women have I touched? How many women have I allowed to open to me, to express themselves, to be fully who they are. How many women have I supported to kind of connect to their own heart space? That's success to me. But if it doesn't bring in money and it doesn't put money in the bank, my husband doesn't see it as a success because that's his vibe. It is for many men. They work in that financial realm. So what happens with the shapeshifter is that we see being successful in a certain way, so we shift to be that way. But what if the box never fitted you in the first place? Like, what if you're trying to shapeshift to all over these places that just aren't you? And what if freedom comes actually from stepping out of it entirely? Stepping out of the box, being who you are, not what everybody else wants you to be. Then there's the invisible woman. You remember how I said I think I've got all six of these kind of playing out? I think most of us have. I no longer feel seen. That's what the invisible woman says. And it comes a lot in midlife and menopause. And it breaks my heart because I do see it so often in midlife. Women have spent years giving, supporting, holding everything together, raising children, building careers, looking after everyone else. And somewhere in all of that, they disappeared. People know what they do, but very few know who they are. They've become everybody else's support system, yet nobody is truly seeing them. And beneath that invisibility is often a deep longing, not to be admired, not to be fixed, but simply to be witnessed. And then there's the numbed one. And the numbed one says, I've stopped feeling myself. She isn't broken. She's overwhelmed and exhausted. She's survived. She scrolls. She keeps busy. She keeps moving. She keeps distracting herself because stopping means feeling. And feeling might mean grief, anger, disappointment, loneliness, truth. Many women arrive at Sacred Sister here, not because they're looking for healing, but because something inside them whispers there has to be more than this. And then we meet the wild woman. She says, I know something needs to change. The wild woman is not fully healed. She doesn't have all the answers. She doesn't know exactly where she's going, but she can no longer ignore herself. She's tired of shrinking, tired of performing, tired of pretending, tired of living according to someone else's script. And so she begins asking different questions. What do I want? What matters to me? Who am I underneath all of these roles? And that question, who am I? That's where the journey begins. That's where the journey home begins. So tell me in the comments here, in this chat, in this group, in this podcast, in this wherever you see this show up, tell me which one of those resonates with you. One or six. Because this is what I think and where I think we've perhaps misunderstood healing, because healing isn't becoming somebody new. Healing isn't fixing yourself. Healing isn't finding the perfect morning routine or the perfect mindset or the perfect spiritual practice. Healing is remembering. Remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Remembering your voice, your truth, your needs, your joy, your playfulness, your wildness, your worth. And perhaps that's really the deepest realization I've had this week. That Sacred Sister was never really about circles. It was never really about retreats. It was never really about workshops. Those things matter, but they're not the point. They're the vehicle. The point is this: women are lonely. I think humans are lonely, but women are definitely lonely. And we're carrying too much. Women are exhausted. Women have become so disconnected from themselves and from each other and from nature. And every circle we hold, every conversation we have, every gathering around a fire, every hug, every shared story, every tear, every laugh is simply an invitation home, back to yourself. And so when I called the homecoming this year, when I called our gathering this year, we have a gathering every year. We've been doing it now since 2020. So this is our sixth year of gathering. We've had numerous gatherings in that time. Sometimes we've had two a year, one a year. So we're not on our sixth gathering because we've had more than that. But it's why I called it homecoming, because we're going back to the land that we originally set and shared on. And by the way, that one happened with no promotion, no marketing. I didn't have to stand up to anyone. I just told a few friends who told a few friends who told a few friends. And before I knew it, we'd filled the field with 144 women. Right enough, we were just coming out of lockdown and everyone needed and knew they needed something. But it's the same now. I know you need something. So for me, it's also called homecoming because it's about how we come home to ourselves. And the more I sit with it, the more I realize that that's what all of this work has always been about. We're not self-improvement, self-help. We're not about becoming somebody else. We're not about fixing what's wrong. It's about coming home to the woman underneath the good girl, underneath the fixer, the woman underneath the shapeshifter, the woman who's feeling invisible, woman who is numbed out, the woman who's beginning to awaken through the wild woman phase. The woman, that woman, you, who has always been there, waiting patiently beneath all the noise. So this week I leave you with that question. Which face do you recognize most? The good girl, the fixer, the shapeshifter, the invisible woman, the numbed one, and perhaps, or perhaps, the wild woman. And more importantly, what part of yourself is asking to come home? And how are you going to do that? Because we can't come home just by ourselves. We need each other. That much I know to be really true. So thank you for joining me around the kitchen table. If this episode resonated in any way, go be the gossip, share it with other women because other women might need to hear it too. And if you'd like to learn more about the 6 Faces of Self-Abandonment, keep an eye out because I am going to start to create something really magical about this soon. So until next time, be gentle with yourself and remember you are never broken. You simply forgot how deeply connected you truly are. Take care. Lots of love. We're out.